People say that he's overpaid, but I actually think he's going to be a very big impact because of plays like that. So the 49ers have made some pretty interesting moves this offseason, and I have to say, I like a lot of them. I mean, they're clearly making an effort to try to bolster that defense, and I think it's going to work out very well next season. Obviously, adding Nick Bosa and DeForest should be a huge addition just by that, but they already had some talent on that line to begin with. I mean, they definitely could have looked to improve in that spot. I mean, they had the 19th overall rushing defense and a 13th overall defense. But with the additions they've made, I could easily see them being a top 10 defense next year. And also having guys like DeForest Buckner on that line, this could be very big news for the 49ers and very bad news for opposing quarterbacks. And another thing I want to talk about is something I've actually already mentioned in a previous video, and that was the video about Nick Bosa. While I do really like Nick Bosa, there was one problem I saw when I was making my video of him, and it's the fact that he sometimes struggles in giving up containment. He'll often break to the inside of the tackle, and that can allow a quarterback or running back to run around you, and it isn't the greatest thing you want to have happen. And while because he's so fast and so strong, he can often get away with that in college, however, in the NFL, you won't be able to get away with it as much. Giving up containment can be a very bad thing, and I'll show you what I mean with this play. It's going to be a run to the left side of the screen, and if you notice, the tight end is actually going to be blocking in that direction, meaning that the edge rusher right there is going to be completely unblocked. That's Mark Nizikia, and basically his whole goal is to just make sure that there isn't a run to the right side of the screen. Make sure that no one gets past him in that direction. However, once the ball is snapped, and it is going to be a run to the left side of the screen, he's going to sort of creep in that direction. Because of this, the tight end can now see that he's going in that direction and block him much easier, and now Barkley can simply just run to the right side of the screen, and he can get past him. It's just a play you can't make in the NFL. Especially when you're going up against a great running back who can run east and west so well. You really do have to be smarter than that. You really have to make sure you don't make those kind of mistakes, and Bosa has had a tendency to make those kind of mistakes in his college career, so hopefully he'll get better at that when he's in the NFL. Really, it's all about understanding your positioning, and this one will be a good example of exactly that. It's going to actually be a design to roll out to the right side of the screen, and what that means is Detroit is going to have their right tackle go over there and block that edge rusher right there, and it'll send a halfback out to block any potential 49er who gets in that direction, and then Stafford will also run out to the right side of the screen. But that's where Fred Warner comes in. You're going to take a look at what he does here, as it's going to be very impressive. While the tackle is running to the right side of the screen, Warner's going to simply just cut in right in front of him. This is giving up containment, but it's knowingly giving up containment. Because it is a designed rollout, he's okay with giving up containment, because this is going to now force other players to have to block him. First off, the right tackle is going to have to block him just because that's his job on this play, but also the halfback is going to have to actually run in and block him because otherwise it would just be a straight shot to the quarterback. So now instead of having two players out to block outside the pocket, there's going to be no players out to block outside the pocket. This isn't giving up containment on this play because the whole point of this play for Detroit was to try to get to the outside, which is why they had extra blockers running in that direction. If Warner just continued to break to the right side, well, maybe he still would have been able to make a play, but he would have had to just win his matchup straight up. Now Stafford does have a bit of space, but there's a herd of 49ers running after him, and they're all getting pretty close. Stafford's going to have to get rid of the ball quickly, and he actually doesn't on this play, and it results in a fumble. While he is officially a linebacker, the 49ers do like to run a lot of 3-4, so him being a linebacker definitely means that he still will be on the edge from time to time. Really, while this video is technically about the defensive line, having linebackers definitely helps out that defensive line. And when you have a great linebacker like Fred Warner, it can really help out a good defensive line. Like on this play, what the Chargers are going to do here is have their left tackle block that interior lineman right there, and then they're going to send a left guard out to block the edge rusher right over there. From here, they'll send a tight end up to block that San Francisco 49ers way over there, and they're going to run it straight in that direction. The whole point of this is to basically give yourself a better angle to try to make these blocks. Instead of just blocking the guys straight up, where you're blocking them straight forward, now you can block them kind of at an angle and create more space. If you trust your offensive line, it's a good idea, and Los Angeles trusts their offensive line in this play, which is why they're doing this. So now as you see right now, because of that angle, the Chargers does a very good job of creating that gap and making it very wide open. However, Donovan Newsome is going to be running in that direction. And I know Newsome is no longer on at 49ers, but I'm just using this play as an example of showing how a linebacker making a good play can affect and can help a defensive line. Because even when the defensive line got beat on this play, Newsome was able to run over and still make the tackle. That's what a linebacker's job is. Even when a hole does open up, well, now you can run through that hole. This wasn't a game-changing play, but when you have a great defensive line, you don't need game-changing plays. You just need guys to do their part. When you have Alexander and Warner, they can both make those plays look routine. I think that's actually a huge reason why they went out and got Quan Alexander, because they knew they were going to try to bolster that defensive line. One player the 49ers have that I actually really like and think is very underrated is Sheldon Day. He certainly isn't a big name by any means. I'm sure a lot of you guys are saying, who's Sheldon Day? But he's actually a very talented player. I'm not saying he's starter level talent, but he definitely has good value as a depth player. Like this play is going to be a good example. What the Chargers are going to do is have their tight end block the edge rusher right there, and they're going to have their right guard block that 49er right over there. Then what they can do is send their center up to block that linebacker right over there, send their left guard over to block that edge rusher right there, and send their tight end over to block that guy right over there. So after those one-on-one matchups, there's going to be a few more, as the last but not least, what the Chargers are going to do is send their left guard up to basically just lead block for the halfback to that left side of the screen. And since it is going to be run to the left side of the screen, typically Day wouldn't be the best guy to look at here because he is so far to the right side of the screen. But take a look at what's going to end up happening here. Now, as of right now, he's ready to get into the play, which is crazy because he started right there on the field. He went from one hash mark all the way to the other in basically no time while getting blocked and was able to get into the play. You often don't worry about the interior alignment all the way to the right side of the screen when it's a run to the left, however, Day kind of made them worry about it right there. There was also this play, which is a pretty basic concept right off the bat. Since there's 5 49ers on the line and Detroit has 2 tight ends in the game, this means that they can double team 2 guys, and they're going to choose a double team 2 interior linemen. So that means one interior lineman has to be left with a 1-on-1 matchup, and that's going to be Day here. But first, notice what Day's going to do with his arms right here. He's basically putting his left arm right there on the guard's right side of his body, and he's going to try to push off and get around him to the outside of the screen. It's definitely not a bad idea, however, it's not going to work out the way he wanted it to. The guard's going to do a very good job of putting his hand right back around and then getting in good position. So because of this will now make things very difficult for Day to get in that direction. So what do you do if it's very difficult to go to the right side of the screen? Well, you go to the left side of the screen. That's what he's able to do, and he forces Stafford to make a quicker throw than he would have liked. So again, I'm not saying that this guy is a game-changing player, that he's going to be the next Hall of Famer, because he's obviously not, but he definitely does his role very well. Everyone likes to talk about the starters, but the starters can't take every snap. You're going to have other guys come in and make some plays as well, and he's the type of guy who can make some plays. Not to mention, football is a very violent sport, so if someone goes down, he can definitely fill their absence decently well. And while talking about interior linemen, I have to mention DeForest Buckner, as he's just a great player. I mean, many years he could get argued being the best interior lineman in the league after having a 12-sack season. Not to mention 67 tackles, which is very impressive for the position he plays. Of course, you can't argue him being the best interior lineman in the league because Aaron Donald exists and he's by far and away above every other player in the league regardless of position. I mean, that guy's just insane. But Buckner is very good himself. I mean, the guy's just a freak athlete. I mean, he's 6'7", 287 pounds, and he can move very well. Like this play, for example, Minnesota does have 2 tight ends in the game, however, they're both running routes, so it's basically just 5 men blocking on this one. And with no one in the backfield, this now makes it a very basic concept right now for Minnesota. It's basically just 1-on-1 matchups all across the board, except the fact that they're double teaming the interior lineman on the right side of the screen. And that's good news for Buckner, as he's on the left side of the screen, meaning he has a simple 1-on-1 matchup to try to get to the quarterback. And also, since there is an empty backfield, he doesn't have to worry about a run at all. He can simply just focus on trying to get to Kirk Cousins. And really, the way he's going to do that is basically try to run there, try to run through that left guard's left side of his body. And here's how it's going to work. First things first, he's going to put his right arm right there onto that left guard's left side of his body to try to get around him and give himself a better angle to try to get through. This gives him leverage and it gives him power to continue to run in that direction. From there, he can do a quick swim move where he's going to put his left arm basically just over the guard and then try to get the Cousins. He's able to get his arm over, get the Cousins, and pick up a sack. So really just a great play from Buckner. And while he is an absolute mammoth of a guy, he can move too. I mean, he definitely does have good footwork and he's definitely fast as well. I mean, there's guys that weigh half of his weight that couldn't outrun him. I mean, this guy just runs so quickly, it's almost unfair. Like on this play, what Seattle is going to do is have that Seahawk right there block the edge rusher right over there. Doing this means that you don't have an offensive lineman blocking that edge rusher, however, you do have a better angle to block that edge rusher, so it kind of makes some sense. From there, what they're going to do is send a right tackle out to block a linebacker over there, and they'll send a right guard out to block that interior lineman right over there. And that interior lineman is Buckner, and this is kind of bad news for the Seahawks because look at that angle where he's trying to make the block. It's going to be a run through the left side of the screen, and so naturally, Buckner is already going to get pushed in that direction. You're basically just banking on the fact that your running back can outrun that interior lineman, and it makes a lot of sense to feel that way. I mean, as of right now, Buckner still is about a yard to the left of where the halfback is, but you'd still think that the halfback could outrun him. However, that's not going to end up being what happens. Buckner is able to move over, get into the play, and knock the halfback out of bounds for no gain. His 40-yard dash was 5.05, which doesn't sound too impressive, but for his height and weight, it certainly is. And not only that, but he's one of those guys that seemingly runs faster in pads. I don't know what that is, but some guys just seemingly do that. It might just be his acceleration. He has a faster acceleration than some guys, and the fact of the matter is, an interior lineman is never going to have to run 40 yards in a straight line. But when he only has to run 10, he can absolutely do that and get up to a top speed very quickly. One more play I like from Buckner was this one. He's going up against a right guard right there, and he's going to be running up to the top half of the screen. That's actually going to be a fake, and he's going to try to go to the right side of the screen, and look at how he's going to pull that off by using his hand. First, he puts his right arm right there, basically over the left guard's left side of his body. Now that part's important, but this next part is twice as important. Quickness is going to be everything. Because he has that hand placement right there on the guard's left side of his body, it'll make things easier, but Buckner's still going to have to get his left arm all the way over to guard. He's going to have to pull it off quickly, because if he doesn't, the guard can simply get better hand placement and push Buckner out of the way. Basically, the reason I paused it here is look at his arm on this one. It's basically just 1 inch above that guard's head, and it certainly helps that Buckner is 6'7", so it's easier for him to reach over it, but it still doesn't make things easy. I mean, he has to be very quick and very accurate with his arm to do that, but he was able to do exactly that. Because of that, there's really nothing you can do as a guard, and Buckner was able to easily win his matchup and get the Russell Wilson for a sack. He's definitely a tremendous talent, and I feel like he doesn't get as much credit as he deserves. I mean, everyone knows him and knows that he's a good player, but I feel like not enough people talk about him as being an elite player, which he truly is. Now, one guy I haven't talked about a ton was DeForest, and that's mainly just because I made an entire video about him in the past. But he's really good and really talented, but I've just basically already gone over everything I like about him, so I'm not going to go over it again in this video. But the one other addition who I made an entire video about was Bosa, and he's another very good and very talented player. I won't be going over it too much, but I will break down one play I liked from him because why not? It's fun. That's where he is on the screen, and so typically you'd expect that left tackle to go out and block him right there. However, that's not actually going to be what's happening here. Instead, they're going to have the left tackle and left guard double team that interior lineman, and then they're going to pull the center out to block Bosa over there. Doing this does kind of give up some space. As you see right now, it is a very close block to make, but it also allows you to have a running start, which means that you could push Bosa out of the way pretty far. However, despite the running start, Bosa is so strong, he's able to just bowl over him and get to the quarterback for a key play. Really, they didn't pay Bosa extra attention on this play, and it really came back to bite him as he was able to really make them pay, and that's kind of why I'm showing this play. You can't leave DeForest Buckner on a 1-1 matchup because he'll easily just pull off a swim move and get to the quarterback. You can't leave DeForest on a 1-1 matchup because he'll simply just run by you and get to the quarterback. You can't leave Bosa on a 1-1 matchup because he'll just simply run over you and get to the quarterback. And you can't leave Sheldon on a 1-1 matchup because, okay, well, him you could probably get away with, but the other three guys, absolutely not.